Alright team, so let's talk about the fire piston for a minute. So this is basically just a cylinder of metal, and this particular one has a opening at both ends. That's to help the piston come out. And this piston is basically just a rod that goes into the cylinder, and it's the idea is you form an airtight seal, and when you compress it, you superheat the gases in the end here. If you think of heat as a particle that exists everywhere, the closer it gets together, the warmer an object gets. So when you take this and you create an airtight seal and you compress the air in there, you're compressing the heat from a space this large down to a space like that large down here at the bottom. When that heat gets together, it gets hot enough to form an ember. And what you do is you pack the end of this guy, as you see I've got a little bit in there, we're going to replace that. You pack the end of that with a bit of char cloth, and what I've got here is a newly created batch of char cloth. I got this is just from the dollar store. It's like a dirty, just a dish rag, cotton dish rag. So what you got to do here is I'm going to use this. This is linen. This is also good for making char cloth. Is I'm going to clean those rings. You got to have those rings just really clean to help form a perfect seal. And then you usually get this bit of like petroleum jelly substance, and you can take your finger or you can dip the rod in there. Typically you take your finger, get a bit on your hand like that, set that aside, and then you get it on these rings, and that just helps to form an airtight seal here. I'm going to get some of that on there and try not to get anything else on those rings. And then the end piece here, you're going to take a bit of your char cloth. I can separate this here. Like I said, I just created this. It's like a new car smell. Take a little bit of that char cloth, and I've tried this once today, but it was just pouring rain, and I could not, for the life of me, get it to go. So I'm gonna, just in case there's something in there, I'm gonna get it out, clean that out of there, and I'm gonna give you the best way to do that. And a lot of times you'll see people doing this, and they'll get the ember, and then I'll show you. So we're gonna take this thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to take this crispy edge off. Might have a little polyester or nylon thing in there. And I'm just going to take some of this, and I want to kind of pack it into the end here so that we get a bit in the end. And again, trying to keep it off of my rings. It's almost impossible. This is such a dirty way to start a fire. Like I said, it's a great second fire, just like flint and steel. Make sure this end piece is good and tight, and I'm going to take this, another piece of char cloth, set that aside, and again, you want everything to be as dry as possible. I've got these little waxy bits here. They're also soaking wet though, so I'm going to open one of them up. They're just grass soaked in wax as near as I can tell. I'm going to open one up like that. This is the tinder kit that came. It's just jute twine. I'm going to pull a chunk of this off. I want a good amount of that. I do have some grassy stuff nearby, but it's been out in the weather, so I might set that aside and hopefully the sun dries it. Don't worry about the wind. It's helpful here. So take this, open it up, take your tinder cloth, char cloth, whatever you want to call it, and put it inside there like that. And you got some in the end here. Make sure everything's set on a dry surface. In fact, I will take this, but that's soaking wet there. It's so difficult to get a fire started when things are soaking wet. So I'm going to set that right there. Get this out of my way. So I'm going to take my piston and I'm going to stick it in the cylinder here. And as soon as I get that second ring in there, I'm going to take this whole thing and pound it down like that. Nothing. So I'm going to try that again. Make sure my end is clear. Nothing. So I might have too much in here. If that's the case, I'm just going to pop that off. Try again. Nope. If I don't get it in the third or fourth try, I'll examine everything. Move my rings around. and make sure they are nicely lubricated. And this is a very interesting way to start a fire. Lubricate those wheels, get my fingers off, keep everything nice and tight, make sure my end is tight, plop that in there. There we go, and as soon as I get that ember, I'm going to transfer it into this one here. Got an ember there now, and then I can just set this thing aside. That's no longer needed. And I'm going to take this just like I would anything else, and I'm going to blow it into a fire. And there we go. And that's the idea of the fire piston. Anyway, that's how you get it going. You get everything all ready, and that's it. It's easy breezy lemon squeezy, right? See you on the next adventure.